everybody. Welcome back to one of our series of final videos for the Co-Creating Sustainable Food Supply Chains project. We are at the end of our 3-year project, and we're talking to everybody from each of the teams from our 5 hubs to sort of ask people what their reflections are from how the project went and what their expectations were at the beginning and their hopes for the future. So today I have Wanda from the Karlsruhe team. We have 2 German teams, the Freiburg team and the Karlsruhe team. Wanda is in the Karlsruhe team. I'll have Wanda start by just giving us a brief introduction of herself and tell us a little bit about the Karlsruhe hub, who is involved, what team of researchers, and then what was your community partner and your focus area.
All right. Thank you, Ashley, for taking up that video. Yes, my name is Wanda Wieczorek. I'm a researcher here in Germany, and I work as a researcher at the interface between science and practice. I do have a very strong focus actually on transformation processes. And in Co-SFSC, I was mainly responsible for working with our local practice partners here in Karlsruhe. My colleagues, Pia Laborgne and Eva Wendeberg, are also on board, and together we are part of a bigger research team at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. And there our work generally focuses very much on sustainability, on transformation, and questions of governance. Our main practice partner, community partner in Karlsruhe, was an initiative called Food Circle, which I'll talk about more in a minute. But the project involved many more local actors apart from that initiative, and also an interdisciplinary research team. Our focus was on the regional value chains, especially for ready-to-use vegetables and legumes. That was the main focus, which widened a bit throughout the process. And our main intervention was a transdisciplinary collaboration, bringing together producers, processors, civil society, the municipal administration, and research, and all mediated and organized together with our main practice partner. And maybe to already hint to that, one of our key outcomes was a format we call the Karlsruhe Food Summit, which took place last year the first time and is about to take place next month, the second time, which we created anew as a space for networking, for trust building, and for joint learning.
That's wonderful. So in the first interview, I I interviewed Eva and Sarah. Sarah moved on from the project, but Eva's still on. But in that interview, I was asking a little bit about to the Karlsruhe team some expectations for the project. So when I was speaking with your colleagues, they were talking specifically about Food Circle, and one of them said that their hopes as a team would be, quote, "It would be really nice to see the thriving of Food Circle, so it will be built up and will get a bit bigger, so it's more known and can also be used. More farmers from the region involved, private customers have a chance to get the connection, and to have more sustainable and regional food." So this was the goal at the outset, to try to help Food Circle achieve some of these goals. So how does that compare with, what we actually accomplished during the 3 years of the project?
Yeah, that's right. At the beginning and throughout the course of the, let's say, first year, we really hoped and counted on that Food Circle would be founded as a cooperative business, as a non-profit business, building a market hall, working with producers, regional producers, doing educational work, developing a training center, and becoming a known and very visible regional hub for ready-to-use produce, even have a cafe and a dining hall and everything included. There were already sponsors on board and money and everything, so it was not completely out of the way, as big as it might sound right now. Of course, in the process, we wanted to involve more regional farmers, encourage more people or more farmers to produce more bioregional food, and especially make that more accessible in Karlsruhe for more private consumers. In reality, we really had to learn that structural barriers really strongly shape what's possible. There are very strong legal issues. There is a big administrative complexity, especially with the business model that Food Circle chose to implement. There's, of course, very unclear political responsibility for food. Food is somehow everywhere in the community or in the administration and nowhere located really, and responsibilities are pushed from one edge to the other. And so, in the end, Food Circle could not be founded in the way that we had hoped as a business in its own right and really working and flourishing and being that big bundler and big thing that in Karlsruhe.
Mm.
Still in the process, of course, we kept on going on with that which was possible and which was what was needed anyway in order to found Food Circle or any sort of sustainable food business, which is building trust, connecting people, and trying to slowly change practices privately as well as in administration in the whole food system.
Mm.
And so looking from the transformative or the research perspective, it was still a success
Mhm.
because we managed to establish strong networks and capacities which are now the basis for future change.
Mhm.
That again will help or can help Food Circle still gain legitimacy, have better connections in administration, in all levels of politics, and and still follow their course and be founded in the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
Right.
Yeah, I think this really echoes to me the Swedish case, where I think a little bit about they're trying to build out this eco district, and it's there's so many sort of what we call siloed administrative departments,
Mhm.
and they don't necessarily normally work together, but you need many different departments working together to be able to make these changes happen. And it just makes me think big picture, the process of going to a consolidated and industrial food system, it's really hard to detangle it. So
Mhm.
I think just starting these processes where figuring out where the barriers are, starting to make some connections, I think it's also so important and such a key to laying the groundwork for bigger success in the future. So, okay, in the last interview, we also talked a little bit about the big picture vision, what they hope to see your colleagues in food system transformation. And they said, quote, with the project, we can realize some of this sustainable food supply chain so that people can see, okay, it's possible, and let's see how it's
Mhm.
possible. And the more people will follow this path, maybe it's easier to create a more sustainable food supply chains in the future. So, talk a little bit about that vision and your experience with the project.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what you said, of course, we hoped our initial vision was to show through Food Circle that it was possible to build or to establish a non-profit cooperative business in the food sector, changing or transforming or levering all nodes in that complex and really yeah, complicated system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we wanted, of course, to prove that it's possible to do it and have it as a proof of concept, inspire others. And then we experienced that on the one hand, it's difficult, but then also that transformation happens not only through that big glamorous project, which is then the best practice that everyone wants to see, but it happens through very small steps, small learning processes, uh, a collective effort where just not only individual choices or choices of individual businesses count, but that everybody has to contribute to. And it's actually a very small and detailed, also slow process with small steps, sometimes being difficult to detect but nevertheless very valid and absolutely important because they lay the ground for a change that is at the moment non-existent. There
Right,
is virtually nothing there, and so we
right.
have to really build up everything from scratch.
Yeah.
And until we are somewhere at some sort of pedestal, it will be really difficult to start with these big projects. They need a really a solid ground,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah.
still in the phase of building that up.
Yeah, yeah. I can see a gardening metaphor here, something like preparing the soil, and getting the seeds ready and this kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
very
okay,
much.
this is great. Okay, so having done this project, looking back on the 3 years, we're wrapping up pretty soon. I mean, some of the teams are wrapping up sooner than later, but what are you most pleased with or surprised about?
Especially when we started to connect people from the municipal administration, from civil society,
Mm.
like activists, there was very strong resentment. Oh, they always want something from us, and they always
Ah,
have too big plans. It's all too visionary. And it was really difficult to start getting people together. But then in the end, once we had them in one room, which then happened with our food summit, I was really surprised and very pleased how open people started talking to each other, how committed they were once they met face to face, and once they had a good frame in which they felt they can be comfortable, it's trustful, they
mm.
can speak up. It's not about yeah, opposite yeah, well, things asking from each
Opposing
other.
visions. Yeah, right. Instead, we're
Exactly, but
working.
it's about working together. And so the
Yeah.
quality of the dialogue between all these different actors was a lot higher than expected and a lot more constructive.
Mm.
And so through that, I have that really strong impression that these small and very well prepared formats with a big focus on the atmosphere, on trust, on all
Mhm.
these soft social aspects, have a much bigger impact than you might
Mhm.
think in the beginning. Yeah, and so that trust, I'm very happy that we started with that. So for the first summit, it took us months to prepare. Organizationally, it's not such a big thing, but we
Mm.
needed all these meetings and all these moments in order to really get this common language and build up that trust.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so as a researcher, I'm really happy to learn or to have another example of how powerful this knowledge co-production can actually be and what that means to really work in practice, something you
Yeah.
can't analyze on paper or anywhere.
No, I know and actually, this is reminding me so much of my dissertation work where I talked to different people who were small scale
Mhm.
food producers, and so much of the findings were so qualitative in nature. I mean, it's not something you can write a statistic about.
Yeah.
It's about the relationships that people build and the networks that form and the information that gets shared and the trust. So that's so wonderful to hear. It is the groundwork you have to lay to make these changes.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so thinking about next steps for the future, either for the research team, food system transformation more broadly, where do you see the possible next steps for continuing this work of transforming the food system towards something more
Yeah.
sustainable?
Next, absolutely important step and challenge, especially for research perspective, is continuity. How to
Mm.
continue, how to keep networks alive, give them also more stable structures. This will be the next and really very important step, especially with this next with the upcoming food summit. How do we establish working groups? Who's personally responsible? Do we have a food council like many other cities in Germany and elsewhere have? Do we have funding for these structures? Do we want them funded or do we want them free? So this is a very difficult moment at this time where we really try to set the steps at the right place to build something stable and that it won't just like break down when the project is finished,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
work actually really starts.
yeah.
Um, the role of municipalities, I would say, is very important, generally in food system governance, and even the small capacities that we have in Karlsruhe with very, very little percentages working on these issues can make really a difference. So we really now with the Food Summit try to get even more people from the municipality into our common thinking, and everyone can work in their district and in their area on these issues and carry on. Yeah.
That's
So
wonderful.
then,
Yeah, go ahead,
yeah.
continue. Sorry.
And I think another challenge connected to for us as for research is how to we can stay involved as reflexive partners, as partners, constructive partners,
Hmm.
not with such a big like practice input or practice part anymore, but still playing a role and pushing the whole transformation with the capacities we still have here in Karlsruhe.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, I think the difficulty is always this dance between the funding, the research, the relationships you build. You want to continue those relationships, continue the work. It really is just an ongoing process of figuring out how to navigate and putting together these puzzle pieces. So, I
Yeah.
hope I wish you success. I hope we can work together again in the future. It's been such a joy to watch your team and to get to visit Karlsruhe and to experience some of the work that you've done there and to meet your practice partners. It's wonderful for me, especially because I've been paying attention to these food system
Mhm.
type work for a decade or more, and it's so similar. Everyone is doing such similar work and working, just trying to build networks and capacities, and everyone is, volunteering so much of their time and their heart is in it. So it's just really wonderful to get to see. So thank you so much for inviting me in, and it's been a joy to watch.
Thank you, Ashley. And it's great actually to learn from you, from everyone in the project. As you say, it's similar, it's different, and it's so inspiring
Yeah.
to get that parallelity and to feel we're pushing the same change on different spots in the world, and
Yeah.
we'll manage.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will.
Keep up the good fight.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, good.
Thank you.